Well, when Kyle Hamilton was on the Mina show, I mentioned this in passing at the end of yesterday's show, Bobby, but I really wanted people to hear it and I wanted to chat about it more. I think it's important. Mina asked Kyle about what the Ravens need and what's happening in the postseason. Kyle Hamilton, in my view, is completely correct and nailed the answer.
That you think that your team can get better at next year to maybe get further?
Yeah, I think one thing I've talked to a couple people about is just we during the regular season, it seems like every year I've been here, it seems like we get in a groove, and there's like a 6 week stretch where we're just blowing people out, and we kind of I think sometimes struggle with playing from behind sometimes because like we don't do it a lot. So in the playoffs, on the road, hostile environment, playing from behind is just like unusual territory. So we got to lock in that much more. Obviously, don't plan on playing from behind in the future, but if it does happen, we got to be able to respond correctly and then just execute. I've had so many people ask me like, "What are the Ravens missing?" And I'm like, literally nothing. Like we have everything
Yeah.
you can want to win a championship. It's just we haven't been playing well when we got to the point that we need to win, and there's no excuses for that. It's just offense, defense, special teams. We got to do better, and specifically on this Bills game, obviously we had a couple turnovers. Our defense didn't start well. Offense came out, scored first drive, and then we gave up a touchdown right back. And we don't want it to fall on our offense to have to go down and score. We wanted to be on the defense to get that stop and win the game for us. So both sides of the ball, obviously going to be a tough offseason to kind of live with that. But, we got another year and hopefully right that wrong.
Oops. I think we're both trying to hit
That's
the
me.
thing.
That would be me and you.
He said, I've had so many people ask me what the Ravens are missing. I'm like, literally nothing. We have everything you want to win a championship. It's just we haven't been playing well when we got to the point that we need to win. There's no excuses for that. It's just offense, defense, special teams. We have to do better. Your reaction?
Well, I think that Kyle is obviously has a pulse and has quickly emerged as somebody that is universally respected within that locker room. Clearly, I'm not sure outside of Lamar, Sarah, that any other player has more value than he does on this team. I think I can actually confidently tell you that outside of Lamar, I don't think anybody is more valuable. And I think we saw that, certainly. I think the Ravens saw that, which is why they made a change. And that change paid big dividends for them after week 10. And Kyle went back to his traditional safety role. And as a result, you just saw a trickle-down effect in all three levels of the defense. But I think, first of all, from a fan base standpoint, that's got to make you feel pretty good going into the offseason that you have everything you need. But maybe it can give you pause, kind of like maybe Richard was getting at with one of his super chats a couple minutes ago, talking about sort of the psychology part of it, or what happens in these big moments, which we're going to get to in just a second, because the guys on the facility, particularly James Jones, pressed Kyle Van Noy about this exact topic. And I don't know if there's an exact answer to it. It brings you back to the AFC Championship game last year. Why was the bully out-bullied by Travis Kelce and the Chiefs from a psychological warfare standpoint? How come they weren't as disciplined in a do-or-die moment that night? I don't know. And why did player execution become secondary last month in the divisional round? I don't know how to answer those questions, but as long as they have everything they need, which they're confident, clearly their star all-pro is confident in, that makes me confident as well. You'd like to think that it's only a matter of time until they figure it out and put it all together, regardless of whether or not they're staring at deficits. I mean, he suggested that they don't have a lot of experience playing from behind, which is true, but we all know that used to be Lamar's Achilles heel. That used to be the Ravens' Achilles heel, right? If they don't punch you in the mouth first, are they able to overcome that? They've proven they can. So that was interesting to hear Kyle open up with that.
First of all, the part that Kyle Hamilton said where he says to them, what are you missing? He says literally nothing. That's correct in terms of the last 2 years. The Ravens had all the pieces. They had all of them. Now that doesn't mean, I don't think he's obviously not saying that they won't go out and get more, but it proves his point that when you're bringing back 80% of your starters are already under contract, and now you've got 11 draft picks, that all you're mostly going to do is supplement. So the Ravens should once again be in position. So he is correct. The problem is the very thing that he's correct in saying simultaneously gives you hope and takes away hope.
Yeah.
Because the hope is like, okay, well, the Ravens are going to be right back there. As long as Lamar Jackson's healthy, he's got the supporting cast. He'll be able to endure, one or two injuries at other positions as long as Lamar's healthy. Right? So, and then they should on paper only get better. So that gives you a lot of hope. They're going to be back. It's not like you're the Pittsburgh Steelers out there looking for a quarterback. You're not Joe Burrow being like, please sign my number 2 wide receiver who's been amazing. And we'll get to Joe Burrow and T. Higgins in a minute. You're not the Jets. You're not all these teams looking for major pieces. Yes, we need the game record. We know that. Going to have to figure out the left side of the offensive line. We know that. But with what they have on paper right now, they should 1,000% be back at the divisional round.
Which begs the question.
Which is what gives you hope. But then you're like, but dang, how many times have they gotten to the divisional round or the AFC Championship with a team that could win it? And they haven't. And that's the part where Ravens fans or Ravens podcasters like us or even Eric DaCosta has no control over. Because what Kyle Hamilton is saying is that it's what's in between our ears. The only people that can control that is them. And it has to be and each one has to do it. It can't be that one half Mark Andrews is great, but Lamar had a couple of fumbles, and then Lamar takes off and is amazing, and then Mark Andrews fails. Or that the defense starts off bad and then they find their footing. No, it's got to be all these individuals have to individually get what's right inside their head, but then as they all do it individually, it has to come together collectively. Yeah. And so that's why simultaneously it gives hope and takes away hope, because we got no control over that. They got to get it done inside.
In other words, if they have everything they need, and there isn't expected to be significant change, there will be some change, but not significant, we don't think. Why will different results be yielded? Right. It's like that's the $1 million question. And you hope that the ball bounces in your direction. You hope that player execution will be more consistent if indeed you are back in that same situation next year, but no promises. Kyle Van Noy.
Yes, go ahead. You've got it.
Perfect. Kyle Van Noy joined the facility last week. We've already shared one snippet from this conversation, which really was awesome. And it since went viral. And it's Emmanuel Acho, friend of the show, asking KVN, hey, you showing up this summer? Like, dude, you're coming off a 12.5 sack season. You're a bargain right now to this team. You are under contract, but that's a career year for you. Like, would you potentially hold out? And KVN was like, listen, I'm a pro. Eric and I will have our conversations when business will be handled the way business needs to be handled, but I'm not going to be a distraction. I'm showing up, and everybody loved it. How could you not love that?
Yeah, they didn't like that Emmanuel was setting them up that way. And
they did not.
At the end, he knocked that out. He slapped that right out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Further ingratiating himself to this Baltimore fan base where he spent the last couple of years. But I would say he wasn't really pressed on that. That was a pretty easy answer for him. This was a true full court press. And James Jones wants to talk about some of these things that we've kind of been dissecting here. Why they've fallen short in these do or die moments. And KVN answered it in one way, and then the follow-up, essentially the first way it was answered, James wasn't satisfied, so he needed to get a follow-up in there, and it made for a good back and forth between one former player and, of course, one current player in KVN.
Facility.
Yes, sir. I like it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Facility. So in the facility, we keep it a buck and some conversation.
I love it.
Hey, man, he coming. Be quiet real quick. You know what I mean? I wanted y'all in this game.
I did too.
For real.
Yeah.
But it always seems in the biggest games, y'all don't play y'all best. You know what I'm saying? Last year, you got the Kansas City Chiefs at home, best defense in football. You got Lamar Jackson playing at an MVP level, and Patty coming there and beat y'all. Yeah. But y'all don't play y'all best. Yeah. Then you go on the road to Buffalo. You ain't turned the ball over multiple times in a football game, and y'all choose to do it in the AFC Championship. Don't play your best. What is it when them moments and them games is on the line to where we don't get the best Baltimore Ravens?
You know, sometimes I just look at the ball and it doesn't bounce your way. I look at the game, the AFC Championship against Buffalo and the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, right? And you saw the beginning of the game, Josh Allen should have threw 2 picks. Yeah. Unfortunately, against us, the ball bounced the other way into the guy's hands, and they made the plays. It's not making an excuse. It's just sometimes the ball. Like
we dropped to what now, we can win on that.
In the facility,
all right, so start that all over again. Yeah, start that over again. Hold on, Jay. Start the question again.
Start the question again. We in the facility. All right? In the facility. So we're going to keep it a buck. All right? Last year, Patty comes. What is it? The bank?
Go to the bank.
To the bank.
In Baltimore.
The best team in football is the Baltimore Ravens with the best defense. Y'all don't play y'all best. Patty beat y'all. Then you got another dominant football team going to Buffalo.
Right.
Biggest game of the year. Ain't turned the football over twice in the game all year. And you choose to do it that game.
Give 'em the
Why
mic now.
don't the Baltimore Ravens play their best in the biggest game?
You know, just for my teammates, I think it just comes down to us. We got to take it on the chin. I got to take an L like a man on the chin.
There we go.
And
Here we go.
There we go. That's the
execution.
And, you know, it is what it is. We lost. There's no excuses. You know, the ball didn't bounce our way. But
That's a fact. I will agree with that.
But at the end of the day, I'm one of the leaders. I take it on the chin, and that's just fuel, hopefully, for this year to get things right.
Held his feet to the fire, for sure. And I love how he still slipped in when he came back with his second answer. He's like, well, the ball didn't go our way. But like, again, when you're trying to like talk about psychology, and this is why I keep pounding away at this idea, Bobby, of like loser mentality and I don't want to win MVP and da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, or when you look at the ball not bouncing your way, like the ball doesn't bounce everybody's way all the time, ever. And so if you play up to your abilities, like if the defense had balled out and the Ravens balled out for 4 quarters in all of these playoff losses, then I could be like, you know what? That one, the ball didn't bounce the Ravens' way. I could live with that. But you can only go to that if you know that you were playing up to your potential. And a lot of times when people talk about their greatest fears, some people say it's not living up to my potential. And I feel the same way. Like, get snakes, whatever, snakes or spiders or public speaking or whatever. We can overcome all of that. To me, and this is why yesterday when I asked people about yelling and people like, just be you, I'm like, but what if being me right now gets in the way of being the me that I could become and I want to be? That's why I don't let go of this. That's why I don't let go that Mark Andrews didn't show up to the media after he dropped the catch. It's these little things that are up here. Don't tell me the ball didn't bounce your way. Don't tell me that. There's some truth to it, but don't lean into it. Don't lean into it. Lean into the fact that it's like, we just got to come and play up to our ability. And if you keep leaning into these other excuses, as true as they might be, you can't control that. So don't speak to that. Speak to the fact that it's like, we just have to lock in. It's on us. And it can't be that it's like, oh, now we're in the playoffs and then now we're different people. It can't happen anymore. It can't happen. And go into the facility and say that. We're not playing like ourselves. We're not living up to our potential, and that's on us. Don't talk about the ball not bouncing your way. Not when you left so much on the field.
It's making me think of what one of our subscribers just dropped in via super chat. 2 comments, one super chat and one comment that's asking me to go back to my interview with Josina Anderson on Radio Row. And he goes on to say, there's a way to tell who has the, quote, dog mentality when the pressure is on. And then he says, I don't think the Ravens do a good job do a good enough job evaluating. But I think the reason why I wanted to bring this up, Sarah, was remember you and I tried to kind of decipher Josina's comments that day. And I think my conclusion was that she was maybe questioning or pointing out pressure management. And that's an area that when you are evaluating talent, when you are sitting down with these prospects coming out of college, it can be really difficult to identify and try to foresee how a guy will handle pressure management. I mean, that's tough. Not everybody is coming out of these SEC schools where they had a chance to compete for the playoff title, for the college football championship title. A lot of these guys are coming from, smaller schools, for example, where, the stadiums are smaller. The magnitude of each game and each moment and each snap is probably, smaller than that of these other bigger schools. And so that's an area that you just don't know how pressure management will change moving forward. All you can do is hope that the more that you execute, the more that your confidence rises and the more ultimately you're able to manage everything that goes into these playoff games.
I love Josina and her talking about, like, she said, I feel like I can tell, because she was a Division I athlete herself. She's like, I feel like I can tell who has that dog mentality, who can rise to the occasion, who can play their best in the biggest moments. And you mentioned, like, not everybody's, in the SEC or whatever, but what about Zay Flowers? Okay, let's take Zay Flowers as an example. I feel like he has a dog mentality. He is one of the smallest dudes on the field, game in and game out. And I know that he had that punch out fumble in the AFC Championship game. I know that happened. But here's why I think he's a dog and can overcome it.
And an unsportsmanlike.
That's exactly why, though. I'm going to talk about the time before. I love the phrase from Mike Tomlin that says, I'd rather coach players to woe than go.
That's an unreal quote. That's
Zay Flowers.
That's a sick quote,
Zay Flowers. When you get up and flex on him, just don't look down on him. That's easy to coach. Look away from him and then flex.
Don't look down at him. Don't make eye contact.
Don't look down on him and go like this. All right? Do it up to the crowd. Do it to your teammates. I can coach that. But I can't coach somebody else to flex on him. I can't go up to these other guys and say, "Hey, show a little." Do you know what I mean? Like, I know Zay, and then Zay, it's back to the same thing. Zay, I know you were going for that touchdown. I know you wanted it, and you were showing that Lamar could go to you in that moment, and all you were trying to do was score. You were extending the score. Here, I can coach you to woe. When you're at the 1 yard line, do not extend that ball when we've got time. If the time is expired, then go ahead and extend. But we got time here. If we need to punch it in from the 1, we can do that, but don't extend. So I can coach him to woe. I know Zay has that dog in him. I know he does. I question it now, though, for Mark Andrews, which I hate to say because we know what he means to this team and we know what he means to the franchise. He's the franchise leading touchdown receiver. And so I get that it's hard, but I don't know that it's that hard. It's got to be that dog mentality when you go inside the playoffs. It has to be there. Don't tell me that the ball didn't bounce our way. Go be a dog and take over.
More super chats?
Yes.
Love a good tangent. Absolutely love a
Did
good
I
tangent.
yell?
No, not at all. And matter of fact, people were applauding you when you stood up. We were all fired up.
Okay.
Got to look at the full Valentine's Day outfit. Thank you so much.